Welcome back to Reality NSFW and our continuing coverage of Big Brother Canada 9. I'm Zack. It's a special day for me today. I released a novel this morning, so as my second novel came out. So if you want to go check that out, it's Those Who Watch From Afar on Amazon or anywhere books are sold. I've been celebrating all day, but no better way to celebrate than by talking to my two good friends, Brent Wolgamott and Bobby Goodsby. How are you two doing?
Doing great,
Hi.
doing great.
Yes, I am doing freaking fantastic. Another episode of Big Brother Canada, an entirely divided house. That is what we've been begging for. That's what we've been wishing for. And I'm so excited to be podcasting about it this season because I would have been, honestly, if I wasn't podcasting about it this season, I would have been beside myself. Like, this is one season that I'm certainly here to talk about because there are some really fun people. There's some messy people and a lot of bad gameplay, which makes for some really interesting weeks ahead. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, and just the back and forth of this house. 1 week, someone else has it, and the next week, the other side has power. It's just been a great season to watch so far. Very entertaining cast, and congratulations on the novel. That's awesome, man. I couldn't even know, I don't even know how to start to begin writing a novel. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
I'm Zach. I'm trying to finish the email that I started yesterday, and I still haven't finished that. So, yes.
Well, thank you guys very much. The season continues to be fantastic. Not only flipping back and forth between who's in power each week, but flipping votes. I can't wait to talk live feed stuff at the end because we have another discussion of a vote flip going on, and it's just very entertaining. The amount of possibilities that this season is presenting to work through and to talk about. I'm loving it. But let's get into this episode. This is the Wednesday night veto episode. And we start with Kiefer. We see Kiefer putting Rohan and Kyle up. And we see that he's going to be this guy holding the Sunsetters together. What are our thoughts on Kiefer siding with the Sunsetters again? Do we think this is a good spot for him? Brent, what do you think about Kiefer's positioning within the house?
I mean, I don't know what Bobby thinks about this. In fact, I haven't been listening to a lot of the podcasts lately, a lot of the people talking about this season of Big Brother, but I personally think it's a pretty shitty position for him to be in currently, especially if his side, which has more of the comp beasts on it, continues to win. I don't think that it's a good position for him because he's in a throuple. Like, he's with Beth and Ty and Jed, and they definitely see him as the number 4 in their group of people. Now, it's a loyal foursome, but on the other hand, they definitely have their own ideas at times about what they want to do. I don't think it's a good position for him to be in. I think it's a better position for him to be with the pre-90s. That would be Tina and Tara, but I don't think that that's really what he wants based on the evidence from the episode on Monday and his loyalties to the Sunsetters and how he views Tina and Tara. I just don't see that happening. I think he's the kind of guy that seems to me that he's willing to go down with the ship. And I would like to think that that's not true because we all want players that are self-interested because those are the most exciting players because they're willing to do what needs to be done to further their own agenda. But I don't know if that's him. I really don't. I think he's more of a team player. I do think the criticism of if some people in the house and some people on the outside that Kiefer is just some guy who is so cool. He's so excited to be in with the cool kids. You know, he likes it that the jocks are like letting him in to their little circle of friends. Yeah. That may be somewhat true. And like a lot of our life experiences reflect what we do in a reality TV game. So I can only say that right now I don't care for his spot. But at the present, since the house is so split, it's probably okay.
Yeah, and I think that in my situation, watching him, I see a small point as to why he's doing it and why he's sticking with them. Because I think for him, yes, he's always number 4, and he knows he's number 4 in that group. He will always be behind the other 3. But the other 3 are much bigger targets than him. Now, he's the only one to win anything, but I think that in his head, he believes that they will go after the other 3 before they come after him. And I know he's putting a target on his back by being HOH, having to put multiple nominees up, but I think in his head, he sees the stronger, bigger, better targets in front of him. So he's going to ride that ship. And I agree with you. He's 100% loyal. Whatever happens with his side of the house, he's sticking with them no matter what. Even though they voted against him last week, he sees the writing on the wall. And I think that's in his head that no matter what, he's for, but he might have potential to move on in this game because they're bigger targets.
Yeah, I think I agree with some of that. I hate the sunsetter mindset that we're seeing, which, you see Jed and Ty voicing some of this of we never turn on each other. We're loyal to the end. And I really don't want Kiefer to buy in on that, because I do think if Kiefer assumes more of that pivotal role, I guess he hates floaters now, but if he would be more of a floater going forward and actually float between these different configurations of alliances, I think he might be in a good spot. But he is ruffling a lot of feathers. He's got his three closest allies voted for him. There's two other people in the House who've put him up. He's now put one of the other biggest threats there. It's it's an interesting look for Kiefer going forward. I do think it was a good idea for him to win HOH though, and he's done all right this week.
Yeah, I don't think he's done terrible. I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. If things maintain the way they are, I don't like his position going forward. However, given the way that the game has been going and the way it's likely to go moving forward, meaning that one side wins something, the other side wins something, the other side wins something, I think his path to the end is certainly viable. But if the Sunsetters maintain a course of winning, I don't think that it's going to be good for him, particularly because I do think there's an argument to be made where the Sunsetters, and by Sunsetters, I mean Jed, Ty, and Beth, the throuple, go to whoever wins HOH and says, look, do you want to piss off all three of us? Or do you want to piss off no one and just get rid of Keith? Like, I could see that argument, I could see it next week, to be totally honest. And he's put himself in that position now. So I think that he certainly could get to the end, and he's a smart guy. And I do agree with you that it was a good idea for him to win HOH, not a good idea for him to backtrack on his loyalty pitch to Austin about, hey, I wouldn't put you up. Like, why make that promise if you're not going to follow through with it? Why not leave yourself some wiggle room? But I do think that people in the House didn't really respect Kiefer. And so winning an HOH and saying, look, I'm going to get blood on my hands and this is what I'm going to do. Like Steve did that in Big Brother 17. He knew he had to win HOH in order to get some respect in the House, in order to get some respect in the game. So I'm glad Kiefer won. I feel like it's been a moderate level success of HOH. We'll see. And we'll see how the rest of the week pans out, because we still don't know who's going to go home.
Yeah. So that's kind of the status of the Sunsetters at this point. And then we get to see, this is cute. They're talking about the death of the oddballs in the ball pit. Like, come on. The oddballs were DOA. That was never a thing. That was kind of fun though.
Well, I mean, can we talk just a second? I mean, I haven't been here since last Wednesday, so obviously we haven't had a chance to talk about Miss freaking Victoria, like getting what she wanted. Like, it's amazing to me that Victoria said, like, basically, like, I'm jealous as fuck of LaToya. I want her spot. I'm mad that y'all chose her over me. Y'all never got back to me with an alliance. She literally went after their number one girl and LaToya. Jed and Ty said, and LaToya walks out of the house going, look, if you make nice with Victoria, I'm going to consider it a personal betrayal against me. Okay. 5 seconds after she's out of the house, Victoria, come over here and sit with us. Like, I mean, like, they're totally fine with Victoria now. Like, they're totally cool with her. Like, Victoria wants to ride with Jed and Ty. She's not really loyal to the oddballs. She's mad at them for saying her name. Like, it's amazing to me that, like, 5 minutes ago, Victoria was threatening Beth and Ty and Jed to put them all up last week. And yet, now she's like welcome in their family. So, that's Victoria for you. And I have to say, some people just got luck in this game. And Victoria, I know that other people have been making fun of Victoria. They don't give her a lot of credit for anything. I, on the other hand, think Victoria is a player very much like myself. She just wears her heart on her sleeve. Some of the things she does is nonsensical, but she does them with full passion, full vigor, and it makes me smile. So I love her. I absolutely do.
She actually reminded me a lot of your sequester game, and that's so funny you bring that up, because I was gonna say there's similar aspects that I'm just like, wow, she's just like Brent in that situation. Now, also, just an episode ago, we see her throwing Beth under the bus. We see them all arguing, saying they can't trust her. And now all of a sudden, here we are, and she's working with them. She's basically the fifth. She's right there in the Tina situation. So it's funny to see this game changes day by day. And honestly, that's what makes this season so good, is the fact that we have situations like this where it's interchangeable. Pieces are going left and right. You really, really never know. So it's fun to watch, but her game has been just a wild roller coaster. And honestly, I think it could go 20 more ways within a week. Who knows? So it's fun to watch.
And I will say that Victoria's success in the game, if you want to call it that, is really the result of a lot of other people's mistakes. Like Tina could be the number 4, the number 5 in the Sunsetters Alliance, but she decided she wanted to hang out with Tara. She totally forsake all of her friends in the Sunsetters Alliance. Forsake. Zach, help me. I don't know, but she left. She left them in the dust, is what happened, and she said no mas, and she doesn't want to be with them anymore. So, and they sensed it. So like there was a vacuum, and Victoria has filled it, at least for the present time.
Yeah, I mean, Ty and Jed are so lucky that they have Kiefer and Victoria, who I guess Ty and Jed are just so cool that these people just want to be a part of them. No matter how much they push them away, they keep coming back for more love. And I guess they've got Victoria and Kiefer here being loyal to them to stay. So that's a good spot. But as you said, someone who is not gravitating towards people, not bonding well with others. We've got the Tina and Tara show as they're sitting all alone complaining about everyone's food habits. This is so ridiculous.
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever. We're hating on Jed for not doing his laundry right away. Who does their laundry right away? Come on.
I thought it was Ty who like left it there and then it got
maybe it was
wrinkly or whatever. Anyway, point being, like, yeah, and then the other one left some dishes out in the sink, or they put a dish like in with like 5 minutes to go and then just in the dishwasher or something. Look, here's the thing. I actually was here for this. I know that there's filler episodes and there's a lot of strategy happening, but there's a lot of bad gameplay. Frankly, I was fine with the 3 minutes of the Tina Tara show, them just like. They're basically me because I'm 46 and I look at all of the stupid stuff that young people do. God, I'm so old. And like, I'm really annoyed with the shit that they do. I'm like, and I never did that. I never did whatever they're doing. Okay. But, and I empathize with Tina and Tara. I really do. I understand where they're coming from. Like, I never did that shit I would never think to put a dish in the dishwasher with 5 minutes to go. I would never think to take my laundry out of the dryer and leave it sitting on the bed in the laundry basket and then wonder 3 hours later why it's fucking wrinkly. Like you just know these things, okay? Like your mom teaches you this stuff, right? Anyway, so
not everyone's mom. I know some people that I lived with in college that definitely learned as they went. But yeah, no, it was one of the funniest. I'm with you, Brent. I'm not usually here for these little 3-minute videos of people talking or chatting or laughing, like the whole Austin and Kyle situation at the very beginning of the episode. Like, I'm like, I don't care. Like, one of them's gone this week. Why are we even bringing this up? But this was actually really fun to watch. And the main thing that got me is who puts their dish in sideways, like not up and down. Like I was like, when she said that, I was like, this is someone who's just been babied their entire life. And
is that even possible? Is that even possible?
Why is that even your thought? Like, oh, this is how you're supposed to do it. Let alone the 5 minutes till the wash is over. That's somewhat excusable. Maybe you think, okay, maybe it'll get done anyways. But sideways, like, come on. So
Bobby, I will say the one thing that I will say that I've literally never heard of, the piece of bread left over. Damn. That would send me into another planet. Like, what the fuck? How does that even happen? Like, who does that?
Tragedy of the commons. Like, such a just like I don't have to deal with this. I don't care to clean this up. Shove it back. Who cares? That's awful.
They're just saving a little for later. Like, it's a little late night snack. It was probably a have-not trying to get away with it. Like, no, it's just bread.
Wow.
No, yeah, the 5 minutes left in the dishwasher thing. Like, I'd be terrified to open. I didn't know you could open the dishwasher while it was running. I thought it like locked. Or something.
No, not nowadays. Like nowadays, it just shuts off because I've done it before. Yeah, like if I start the dishwasher and it's going for like 10 minutes and then I'm like, oh shit, I still have this dish. Like I'll do it. Okay. But I know about how long it lasts. Like and then the water shuts off when you open it. And then it starts back up once you close the dishwasher. Come on, Zach.
But at least you wash it off, right? Like you wash off your dish before you put it in. Like the fact that you can just have a dirty dish and just put it in instantly just blows my mind. And then the best part of the whole thing was Terry at the end being like, well, I guess my kids aren't much better. So that killed me. So
let me tell you, Tara's not much better, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, I just want to say I want to commend the editors of Big Brother Canada because they presented Tara in a very lovely light that she does not deserve. Like they made her look like the I don't know, the old fogey in the house who's just all lovable and nice and makes fun of the kids, but she's actually a little bit of a bitch, if I'm being totally honest. So, like, we'll talk about it when we get to the spoiler section, but I'm not living for Miss Tara. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this is really all we get of Tara, I think we're all better off for that.
I think we're all better off for that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But my favorite bit of this whole segment is how good the editing is, because this was like some Survivor level editing where they're talking about laundry issues, and then we immediately cut to Beth talking about neglecting her laundry and leaving it in the laundry machine while they're having this whole conversation. And suddenly the subplot of the week emerges, which is Ty and Beth discussing that they want to get Austin put up as the replacement if there is going to be one, because she is such a big threat. I would like to take issue with Austin being a threat, first of all, but do we like this pitch that Austin is going to be a good person to sit up there next to either Kyle or Rohan as a replacement?
No, absolutely not. Like, she is not a threat. They think because she won a competition, because she's performed well, the fact that she got second in this last competition and had a chance. Well, did she throw it? We don't know. Sometimes she says she did. Sometimes she says she doesn't. That we won't know until possibly after the season. But I just don't see it. Watching her game, Kyle is an infinitely better player in my eyes watching him. And he's not even one of the best players on the season. But watching him compared to her, I just don't see. And the fact that there's even a possibility, heck, she might go home. We don't know. That's just crazy to me. So I think that they need to look at the bigger picture, look at the pairs. They don't have to fear Austin at this point. Yes, she's the comp threat because she won one competition and got close in another. Like, come on, guys. There's a lot of season left. Think about who can get you further and who you can beat at the end. I know it's still early to think like that, but she is not a threat in my eyes compared to Kyle and Rohan.
Let me just be clear. It's not even that, though, Bobby. It's not that they think necessarily that Austin's a threat. It's that these two boys, Jed and Ty, cannot believe that Ro and Kyle do not want to bro down with them. They actually, it is actually against their very nature. It is part of the narcissistic, chauvinistic, even misogynistic view that, in my opinion, Jed and Ty have of some of the people in the house, in that they're like, well, obviously Kyle and Ro have to be on our side. Like, why? Even though they've said they're coming after you, even though they told multiple people they'll put you up, even in their own freaking head, Jed and Ty are like, you know what? I'd rather have Ro and Kyle in the house because they're bros. But Austin's such a big threat. Let's put her up because I'm scared of her. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And but it says more about the perception that Jed and Ty have of the other players in the house than it does, in my opinion, anything about Austin. It's not about Austin. It's about how they view everybody else, including Austin.
Yeah, no, I mean, if one of them is going to come down, I guess Austin's fine, whatever. Like, Austin and Braden are working with them, sort of. So it's a vote. It's a vote that they're getting back in their numbers to go after someone. So fine, I guess, that way. But I mean, to say Austin is a threat and to be contemplating going after her instead of one of these two boys is insane to me. This makes me really, really worried about my man Ty and where his head is at in this game. I don't think he knows what he's doing.
No, he does. But then look, in fairness, he doesn't really know what he's doing. But a lot of people don't know what they're doing in the house. I think that Kiefer of the people in the house has a general sense of what he's doing. It's just that I don't particularly like the spot that he's selected for himself. I think other spots, including plural, would be better for him. But he doesn't seem to want that. He wants this, and so he's like, this is his path, and he's willing to die for it. So. Let's see what happens.
We've got people making good reads. We just don't have many people making consistently good moves.
Yes, that is
an
fair.
interesting spot to be in. And to your point on Tara, we've got someone in the chat who knows Tara and can confirm Brent's suspicion that she's maybe not so pleasant to be around. Very interesting.
I know, right? Like, I will say that I worked at RHAP for 6 years, and toward the end, like in the early days, I would definitely call people a bitch if they deserved it, men and women for that matter. And I'm a bitch sometimes, but toward the end, a lot of people came for me for using that word, but here over at SWF, I'm totally cool. Yeah. Like, Tara's a bitch. You heard it here, and I'm gonna stick to it.
Oh boy, just tweet at Johnny Fairplay if you're not a fan of that. But yeah, after this conversation and the targeting of Austin that's going to come later, we get a little bit more foreshadowing with everyone's favorite segment, I'm sure, the Austin and Kyle flirtmance. We're gonna do some hair braiding, some little cute flirting on the couch in the quote unquote backyard. So I haven't been paying attention to the feeds, and I don't really think this is a feed spoiler. I know Austin is enamored with Kyle from what I've seen. Is there anything to this, or is this just trying to make us have sympathy for the couple on the block?
No, there's something there. They had a party last night or the night before last. I forget. It all blends together. But Bobby, was it last night? The party.
Honestly, I think it was the night before.
There's been a party in the past 48 hours, and I know that something happened while the cameras were down, while the feeds were down. They've definitely been flirting. There's definitely maybe a little cuddling, hand holding. That's definitely been happening. As far as like kissing goes, I don't know. Austin's the kind of person I think that doesn't want to have any of that on the feeds. I know that in the early days, Kyle came on a little strong, and Austin wasn't having it. But then, like, since he's been showing that he's a nice guy and he's willing to just be friends, and that angle has seemed to pay dividends, and she's taking a liking to him more. So if they weren't on the block together, and there doesn't seem to be a magical power that's going to pop up anywhere, I think that this does have legs. But the fact is, one of them's going to go home on Thursday, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah, he's been working it since the very beginning, but like you said, slow playing it the whole time. She's starting to give in, but yeah, it doesn't matter. One of them's going, so that's going to be the end of that. I don't even know why they put it in the show. But also the fact that they had this situation happen during their little, alcohol-infused party, but we don't get to see any of it. Like, yes, maybe we could see where these things came from, but we don't get to see it on the feeds. Like the fact that it's shut down for 9 hours because they're drinking, it's just so frustrating. I wish we could get these moments because this is what we want to see on the feeds.
Yeah, I would more easily be able to stay up on the feeds and work a full-time job and do everything else I have going on if they weren't down every time I tried to pull them up. It's really hard to get back invested with Big Brother Canada's feeds down every time I look at them. And then whenever I'm working or something, they're on. Like, it's very obnoxious. But
that's the thing. By the way, thank you, that girl in the chat, for sending reality NSFW $25 for me. Love you, Brent. I love you too. That's the thing about live feeds, man. When they're free in Big Brother Canada, the reason they're free is because sponsors are paying for them. It's not like in the US where you have to subscribe to CBS All Access or whatever the hell. I think Paramount is now the thing. I don't even know what they're doing, but you have to pay for them. You had to pay for them in the past for Big Brother USA, and so they showed a lot more. But because the sponsors are paying for things in Big Brother Canada and the feeds are free to everybody, they tend to censor a lot more things because sponsors, obviously, by their nature, are a little bit more reticent to invite criticism and other things. So that's not good.
Yeah, sure. And you mentioned they're not going to be saved by any special powers. We did hear about something called the invisible HOH at the end, so we'll... maybe.
I will say that gives me life, just because honestly, I'm one of these people. I love Big Brother Canada 3. I know Bobby doesn't share my love for Big Brother Canada 3, but I like a few things that keep people on their toes. And this sounds fun. I don't know what it is, but I have my thoughts on what the invisible HOH could be. We'll see what happens. Yeah. It sounds like the people's HOH. It sounds like Canada's HOH. So we'll see.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love myself a twist. I just did not like that twist on season 3.
Okay.
Just no.
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, yeah. So after that, we get to the picking of the players, and it ends up it's going to be Kyle, Ro, Austin, Jed, and Beth. Not particularly a great breakdown for Kyle and Ro, but it's not going to end up mattering all that much. And Ro immediately gets to a lot of work going ahead of this competition. And he's trying to get people to throw it. He's trying to get people to, he's trying to pull all the strings here. He's trying to tell Jed not to play and get Beth not to play. This conversation, speaking of Big Brother Canada seasons past, I don't think I've heard someone say sus so much. I thought the Pax Bros were back in the house. That was very obnoxious, Jed. Stop saying that. But thoughts on Ro's pitches to Jed and his campaign here to try to get in good with this POV?
Yeah, we live in we live in the day and age of amongst us. That's why sus is like on everyone's tongue right now. I was talking to Brent before the show started, and I swear I remember Ro talking to Jed, and Jed saying, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna throw it." Everyone was talking about how Jed is throwing it and telling people one thing, telling people the other. By watching this episode, I'm not sure. I'm really on the fence if he did throw it or not. I know that there's questions about how he performed in the thing, but he was still right there with Ro the entire time. So I have my questions as to whether or not he actually did throw it. Brent, what do you think? Do you think he did throw it for sure, or are you on the fence?
I was under the impression that he was going to throw it. He was telling Beth that he was going to throw it. It seemed like he was going to throw it. When I heard the veto draw, I thought it was bad for Kiefer because I felt like they were going to throw it, and Austin is obviously the only impediment. But even because she was going to for Roe, I mean, because obviously she would maybe use it on Kyle, although she could be threatened with Braden going up, so she might obviously keep the nominees the same, just depending on what Kiefer did with his powers HOH to threaten her. But I thought it was a good draw for Showtime, Roe and Kyle, because I didn't think that Beth or Jed was going to win it. But then, like I said, based on the diary rooms from the episode, it just seems like, I don't know. I feel like we're not getting the whole story, because he's saying he didn't throw it on the episode, but on the feeds he was saying he was going to throw it. He was telling his allies he was going to throw it. And then he mysteriously had problems at the end of the competition each time at the finish line by blowing the ball too hard, which I personally have had to happen many a time in my life. It just somehow couldn't get it over the finish line. So or maybe he got it over the finish line too much. So that may be evidence that he was actually throwing it, because it did seem to me that there was an obvious learning curve there. You need to bounce the ball, basically bank it off of the little side of the finish line where there was a little ramp that went up to the hole. God, a lot of puns and holes and balls and things. Yeah. Anyway, you get the point. That was what he needed to do, and he didn't do it. And he's a smart guy. So the fact that he couldn't figure that out leads me to believe that maybe he did throw it. So I'm gonna say he did throw it, but what do I know? I'm reading minds at this point.
Well, that's why we want them on the show when it's us watching the episode and they're in the diary room to tell us what they actually are doing. I feel like this just made it way more confusing along the way. But yeah, I agree. I think that this was the perfect draw for them because of the situation you outlined. Like, they should have been able to take this and use it to their advantage. They somewhat did. Roe ended up winning, but it's kind of to be determined, as we're not sure exactly what's going to happen tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, I am of the opinion that Austin threw the last HOH, and I'm also of the opinion that Jed threw this. But Jed, if there's one thing we hate as Big Brother fans, it's lying to the audience in the diary room.
Don't lie to the audience. We hate that. That is terrible to do. I swear it was his pride. I swear he threw the competition, and his pride wouldn't let him say in the diary room, I threw it. But it would look so much better if he did say I threw it, because then he would be like, look, I could have won it. Yeah. I could have won it. So I don't know why he doesn't just own it. Like, just own it and tell us that you threw the competition.
No, it makes him look more macho if that's what he wants. Like, yeah, I could have won that if I wanted. No big deal. Not only that, but we love someone who's throwing comps and being shady, even though their loyal, honor, integrity out in front.
Yeah, especially when your own alliance member is HOH. Like, for Kiefer to be the HOH and for him to be on Kiefer's team and yet throwing the veto to his supposed enemy, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, that's great TV. Like, I would love to see that, but we didn't get to see it. That's okay.
No. And we get to see Roe is also suggesting Austin to get thrown in. So this is now, that Austin throw it as well.
Right.
So sorry, been a long day. That Austin is going to throw the competition. She is going to compete. Roe thinks that's a great idea. She's going to use it. This would not be a good move, right? Then Braden would go up if Austin wins and takes Roe down.
Well, I mean, yeah, it depends on what Kiefer says. It's sort of like what happened last week, where, you would think, obviously you can't use the veto because your partner's going to go up, but the HOH said, hey, you're not going to touch the block and you're safe. I'm not going to put Braden up. So, maybe she's theoretically thinking she could use the veto, but obviously, Kiefer would put a stop to that if he felt if she won the veto, and, he would tell her that Braden's going to go up. So, I mean, these people just don't think. Come on.
Yeah, I would have lived for that alternate reality, though, where she did win it and she did take him down. Then I think that would have really caused some dynamic fireworks in this episode. I think that we would have been able to see maybe outlined of how people actually stand in this house and who's throwing who under the bus. I think it would have been a lot dirtier, a lot messier.
Yeah, it was giving me shades of last week where LT and Jed and Ty were all celebrating about them getting pulled and one of them taking her down with Kiefer in the room. And how are they not figuring out what's going to happen to him? I was seeing that again. I'm like, Braden is right there. Doesn't he realize? It's just crazy to me. They're not thinking 2 steps ahead. They're thinking 1 step ahead. And that's why we're getting a lot of this back and forth, confusing conversation when plans not really coming to full fruition. So we jump to some discussion of floaters that takes place throughout this episode, and who the real floaters in the house are, as Kiefer is discussing who his targets are and who that side of the house wants to go for. Who do we see as floaters in the proper sense right now?
I mean, Tina and Tara are the real floaters in the house,
Yeah.
and even Kiefer to a lesser extent, because he's certainly willing to float amongst some people. I don't really see Victoria as a floater. She's a wannabe. She just doesn't have a partner. It's amazing to me that everybody has a partner in this house except for Victoria. That is amazing to me. That is literally fucking amazing. And I know that, like, obviously Beth has Ty and Jed, to varying degrees at times, but it's a throuple. But still, she has partners. But everybody has a partner or partners except for Queen Vic. That is literally amazing to me. I don't remember another season, Bobby, where this many duos. It's almost like a Big Brother 13 with the duo twist is back. Like, everybody has a partner in the house. So I'm gonna wait for Rohan to get his golden key so he can stay in the house for 4 more weeks. Yeah, that would be cool. But no, I really, it's amazing to me that I guess the reason Kiefer is defining, and other people are defining, Rowan, Kyle, obviously defining Vic as the floater, is because she doesn't have a partner. But that to me is just a misapplication of the word, because Victoria is many things, but she is not a floater in my eyes. Like, she's a wannabe. She wants to be a part of the Sunsetters. She wants to be a part of Jed and Ty's alliance. That's where she's always wanted to be. Now she's got it. Now she's happy. Yes, she's covering her tracks a little bit with people, but I don't see her as being loyal to the oddballs whatsoever. I feel like somebody like Tina and Tara is, even though they have each other, is much more of a floater than Victoria ever was.
Yeah, and I will throw one other name out there that I think, that doesn't have an exact duo would be Kiefer. Kiefer is the only other one that, yes, he has his alliances and his allegiances to certain people.
But see, that's the thing. His partner is the alliance.
Yeah, but that alliance isn't loyal to him at the same time, So yes, I agree with you though. Like, the one person completely by themselves is her. But I can't stand that these groups that they think that they can form little sectors with each other, yet they still stick to just them too. It's just very frustrating to me. And I think that's why we're going to see the Sunsetters really take the next step, because they're able to work with certain duos a lot better than other duos can do with the other groups in the house. So that going forward is going to be very interesting to see. I think the Sunsetters are setting themselves up perfectly, especially if they win HOH next week. And as far as floaters in this house, I agree with you. I think Tina and Tara are definitely two of the bigger floaters, but I think they're floaters for good reasons. It's not the normal sense of the word floater that you're like, oh, well, they're not really doing much. If we're going to go that way, I'd say Braden and Austin would be the two biggest floaters in this house, in my opinion.
They're coasters. Yeah,
they're coasters. Exactly. Yeah. And so as far as floaters, though, I think that Tina and Tara are doing a great job. They're putting themselves in position. I don't think they're ever going to be on anyone's hit list really going forward. They might have people talking about them a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, there's too many bigger targets in the way right now. So I agree with you. I think they're the biggest floaters, with Austin and Braden being the bigger coasters.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's a temptation with Victoria to call her a floater, because she did dip away from the quote. I think the Sunsetters phrase is what's making this difficult. She was never in with the Sunsetters. She was in with Jed and Ty. And by
she wanted to be. Yes.
She wanted to be. So did she float to the other side of the house? No, I think she made a calculated move against LaToya so that she could get closer to Jed and Ty. And
it worked.
It
worked. Yes, that's the thing. A lot of people, they really poo-pooed this. I remember Twitter just going to gag last week over the fact, oh, sure, yeah, you're going to threaten these 3 people to nominate all 3 of them. Oh, my gosh, I'm so frustrated. I hit my microphone. You're going to threaten all these 3 people, and you're going to evict their main ally in LaToya, and they're just going to accept you with open arms. Fast forward five days, and that's exactly what happened. Tell me she doesn't know what she's doing. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, it defies logic. But I don't know. I can't explain. So yeah, I see the house breaking down to not these alliances that we're talking about. I just think that so much in Big Brother recently, the last few years, we've been talking about these big whole house alliances. We've been talking about wanting to see a split house where it's like 8 on 8. I just think this season is such a one-off of you're talking not about any of those big alliances. You're talking about duos and then islands, as they're calling them. And I think that's how this is going to break down. And Ty and Jed are in such a great spot, because the 2 islands that I see, Kiefer and Vic, are Maybe let's call them satellites. They're like, gravitating towards the Kiefer and Ty side, and they're just going to keep spinning over there, even though Victoria and Kiefer are both expendable to Jed and Ty at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's the thing. I really do worry about Kiefer's position, and I worry a little bit about Queen Vic's position, because I do think that they're expendable. I do think there are people in the house, Tina and Tara, especially Tina. Well, I guess both of them, but like they would put Jed and Ty on the block. I think there are a lot of people that would put the boys on the block. I actually wonder what's going to happen to Rohan, assuming Kyle is evicted tomorrow. Like, how is the house going to view him? All of a sudden, he's not going to have a partner anymore. Are people going to forget about him? But it seems to me, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, but like it seems to me somebody like Rohan is impossible to forget about. He's almost like the villain with the twirling mustache, and like he can't help himself to game sometimes. So I'm interested to see like how he manifests himself in a house of duos and thruples. Like it's just an amazing spot for him to be in. A player of his stature should be able to navigate it, if I'm being totally honest. Like, he should not be evicted, but we'll see.
It's going to be very interesting to see, because this is the first time all season that we've seen a member of a couple go on their own. Now, are they going to get picked up and form a throuple? Or are they going to go on their own and just kind of coast or flow and try to make it 1 week further in this game? Or are they going to immediately be the target? It's really interesting, because this will set the tone for how these single players on an island are going to be looked at going forward week to week. Are they going to just be immediately like, okay, let's get the next one out and keep going? I don't lean that way. I think we see someone like Victoria and even Kiefer, to a sense, doing just fine on their own, even though they have allegiances with people. So I think that if anything, they'll get pushed back and other duos will come front and center as the main targets, or they'll just kind of try to play and make it into a throuple or try to make themselves into a bigger group.
Yeah, I see Roe trying to go to like Braden and Austin and have that be a working relationship.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely happening. Let me be clear about that. Like, he's definitely going to work with Braden and Austin moving forward. Like, that's going to be his main squeeze is Braden and Austin. But like, he's really going to need to pull, and he's trying to do this, kind of pulling over Tina and Tara, and they are more loyal to the oddballs, Tina and Tara, than they are to the Sunsetters at this point, because Tina has totally let her relationship with Jed and Ty go down the toilet. So I think that there's definitely ways that this game can remain fluid. It certainly can remain fluid over the next few weeks. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah.
But I think, though, if Austin goes, I don't know where Braden goes. I think he could end up being a sunsetter. He could just go rogue and go completely on his own. I don't know. I do not see him sticking with the oddball side of the house if they end up turning on her and voting Austin out. I think that's going to be a bigger question mark.
Yeah, I can see that. But honestly, as we were just saying, the logic of this season, maybe Roe and Kiefer are just going to be a new duo going forward. They're going to squash the beef. They're best buds now. Who knows? Anything could happen. But let's get to the Power of Veto comp. It's one of the cutest ones I've ever seen.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Go ahead, Zach.
No, I'm just going to say the same thing. I love it.
Yeah. I saw people on the Twitter saying, "What the hell is this competition?" I absolutely fucking loved it. We've never seen anything like it, in my opinion. I love the visual of their heads popping up out of the holes like freaking gophers. It was fantastic. It was the best kind of challenge, because there was a learning curve to the challenge, and there was an end point. As Jed saw many times, where like even if you got the ball all the way to the end, like there was definitely a way you could blow it, and they had to get 10 of them. So obviously it went on for a while, gave you a lot of good sound bites, gave you a lot of great visuals, and a whole lot of fun. Like, I mean, give me this kind of veto competition every freaking time, because I feel like the person who really wants it the most is probably going to win it, and Roe obviously did.
Aesthetically, it was very aesthetically pleasing. Let's say that it was just watching this. You can see the production value with Big Brother Canada compared to look at Big Brother last season in the US. It was the very first competition we had when everyone's running in the house, basically the same exact kind of competition. And I'd way much rather watch this. This was one of those competitions that you can really get involved in, and you see how it's going to play out. When we were watching the US one, we're like, okay, wait, now where are they putting this ball? Wait, how much time's left on the clock? It was just not the right way to do it. This is how they want to do it. If they're really looking for a competition, you've got to do something that's easy for people to follow and to enjoy to watch.
Yeah, this is classic goofy Big Brother comp. This is what I'm here for.
Thank you. Yes.
I was saying last week, we haven't seen them in weird costumes yet. They've just been wearing like clothes from the Goodwill, I think. I don't know. But now all of a sudden we've got these, I don't know if they're moles or chipmunks or what these are, but they're adorable. And later we get to see them trying to scheme and plot while they still have the face paint on.
Yes.
So good.
Yes, I know, right? The Big Brother at its finest. That's why we sign up every summer and every spring, obviously, for Big Brother Canada to watch people get into these crazy costumes, do these stupid competitions, and look like fools along the way, but have a whole lot of fun doing it. And again, so many fun sound bites, so many fun visuals. I really couldn't get enough of it. It was great.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's the Roe show. Shout out to his parents for creating such a champion. Man, that was
right?
a fun ouch. Crash and burn, Ro.
Physical specimen, Ron.
No, that was a DR that was so cringe. I actually loved it.
Really? Yeah, that's right. If you're gonna be cringe, thank you. Yeah, it's got to be really cringe.
Do you think that was manufactured, or do you think that was actually from the heart?
I think he was being funny. I think he knew he was.
Yeah, I think so too. I will say throughout the competition, Ty had a few things that he had to say, like, Jed gets another ball. Can he close the deal? Like, it was obvious the DR was feeding him lines. I'm like, come on. It's so cringe. I just wanted him to either talk like Ty or don't talk at all. Like, it was.
Yeah, I was waiting for some more innuendo from him, some more jokes. Maybe there were some that didn't make the edit. I would have to imagine there were some that didn't make the edit. But
I would have to.
Holes blowing. Come on, it's right there.
Honey, if this was Survivor, they would be all over it. But the fact that it's Big Brother Canada and they're conservative sponsors, they apparently can't do any of that stuff. So we have to make the jokes for them. Fine.
Yeah. TikTok will not stand for balls in the face jokes. They will not. So after the comp's over and Roe wins, we get to see Kyle, Roe, Braden, and Austin, kind of that foursome we were talking about working together, talking about how they need to go for Vic as the replacement. Nathan will go for it. But cutting in again, Big Brother Canada style, skip the dishes time. Normally, I would want to yada yada the skip the dishes time and not even talk about it. I do wonder, though, if this potentially could have game implications as the players, particularly players like Kiefer and Victoria, who are really interested in being a good role model and how they're seen by Canada, continually do not get voted into these spots and are seeing someone like Roe, who they're seeing as the bad guy now all of a sudden winning this from Canada, as Rohan wins this over Tina, Tara, and Victoria. Do we see this potentially impacting the way Kiefer or Victoria play going forward, or any of these players? And could this be maybe why we see Kiefer starting to reconsider his move this week?
Yeah, I know. Watching this, that's actually a great point. I didn't think about. I never really thought about it in that light, where they see themselves as, the Canadian heroes that everyone's gonna love them at home, but now they see these other people winning these type of prizes and things. I think that for me, having them see that may be an eye-opener, but I don't think it'll really impact their game. They're too committed to the game that, yes, they might have that in their head, but if it's not right directly in front of them saying, hey, no, this is who we like, we don't like you, I don't think that they're ever going to truly believe that they're not number one in their own hearts and Canada's hearts. So I think that, yes, there might be a sense of that, but unless it's a situation where it's like Canada voted to put two of you on the block and, hey, you guys are the two that are up there, I think that's the only time that it will really affect them. But I'm so happy that they actually voted Rohan, because poor guy, 2 weeks of slop, that's rough. He deserved it.
Yeah, he definitely did. I will say that it did seem like that this particular result did have a little bit of an effect on Keith. I honestly, for those people who are spoiler averse, I'm just going to give you a little warning. I honestly don't remember this before or after, but I know that it's affected him a little bit. I think it was after Austin was already named as a replacement nominee, and there was a little bit of waffling about well, maybe we shouldn't. I mean, obviously, there have been talk of a potential vote flip. Moving forward, I don't know if we're not going to reveal who's going to go home or not, but in my opinion, yes, it did affect Kiefer. At least it opened him up to the idea, maybe I don't want to be seen as the guy who evicts Kyle, if obviously Canada loves Rohan and the Kyle show. I don't want to be that person if this is what Roe is pushing for. But because I'll say many things about Kiefer, but the one thing that rings true to me, and I don't remember if I brought this up last week, was when Kiefer was talking about the fact that he knew that Canada would love him. And remember, he did get the first captainship or whatever. He said that he knew Canada would love him because Canada also loved Damien. And so obviously they were going to love Kiefer. And I just rolled my eyes at him that he thought that going into the Big Brother house. But he does seem to affect him on the other side of things when he sees other people get stuff. And he was definitely open to the possibility of keeping Kyle. So we can talk about that later. But like to me, it definitely affected him.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's something that'll happen when you have someone who's going in there wearing their people on their shirt every day. Yes. And like that's really important to him. And I can definitely understand. It's something that makes Big Brother, I think, so interesting, is especially Big Brother Canada, where you get these litmus tests of like
especially
how
Big Brother Canada. Yeah.
I love it. I think they should do more stuff like that. I think it's so compelling to watch how the players react to that. And if we could get to see them reflect on it a little more, I don't know how like using production as a...
They did freaking Canada's HOH. Again, I'm complaining about it, and here they're going to have this invisible HOH, and I don't even know what that is. But like for real, they did Canada's HOH in season 2 of Big Brother Canada, which to me was like the best thing ever. I loved seeing the house realize who Canada hated. I absolutely loved that so much. Okay. And we've never seen it since, and they've never brought it back. So like, I'm here for something like that. I would love that.
And that's exactly the situation I'm talking about. Is I feel like if it's a situation like that, like Canada's vote or Canada's HOH, that's when it will really be put in their heads, whether they're working with the right side that people love. But I think right now in this situation, I think Kiefer's just in his own head. I think he's thinking too hard about it. He's thinking every which way. You know, he's in game mode. In that house, you're thinking of how people are out to get you and who you can trust and all this. I think this is one of those situations, and that's what I was trying to refer to. Is I think he's thinking too hard about it. But I think if it was a situation like Canada's HOH, then it would really, really bring that out of this house.
I hope that's what we're getting. Yeah, that was such a good moment. Was it Andrew that went out on that one? Was that his name?
Andrew and Sabrina were nominated. Yes. And it was great. Like the reveal of that was just, it was, yes, great.
I wish we hated some people in the house a little bit more. But,
right? Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, we don't really hate anybody in this house. I guess maybe Tara, but I don't think Canada would vote for her. Canada would never vote for her. Okay. No. Like, I think if there was a Canada's vote right now to nominate 2 people, oh God, I don't know who they would. I think they would nominate. Actually, I think they would nominate Tara. I think they would nominate Tara and maybe Beth. I don't know. I think that Braden's too lovable. I think they nominate Beth. They always nominate the harlot, and people see her as a harlot. No, I love Beth. I do. Yeah. Like, get what you can get, girl. So she's having her way with both those boys at different times. But you know how the masses see her as the harlot, the whore. So I think they would nominate. I think exactly Moses. I think they would nominate Beth and Tara.
Yeah. It depends on how the vote's structured too. Are you voting to save someone, or are you voting who you're nominating?
That's very true. That also affects things too. Yeah, people never think about that.
Yeah. Well, afterward, we get a campaign to Kiefer time, as we're going to see some different pitches. We're going to get Ty in Kiefer's ear about Austin. This is the plan that was foreshadowed at the beginning, that Austin's a threat. Kiefer's in, but he still really wants Kyle to go as his target. Then we get Kyle pitching to Kiefer about Victoria. I think both of these pitches are pretty good. I'm actually surprised at how well Kyle is able to articulate this pitch for Victoria, and seeing that it doesn't go forward. I also feel like Kiefer learned a lot when his conversations that we see here earlier with Roe and here with Kyle. He's not revealing too much. I like to see the player. He learned his mistakes, and he is actually applying that to his game. He's not saying stuff he doesn't need to say. He's not overly agreeing to things that he isn't actually going to do. I like how he's holding these conversations.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what they showed you so far. But okay. I will say that from my perspective, like Kiefer had decided that Austin was going to be the replacement nominee like a day and a half before he actually named her as the replacement nominee, and he did not tell her for the longest time. And he made a deal with her that he would not put her on the block. And I think he even made a deal like, okay, like if anything changes, I'll let you know. But he never freaking let her know. And Roe was able to get to Austin first and basically let her in on the fact that, hey, this is what's happening, or let Braden in on the fact. Then Braden told Austin, like, I mean, I can give Kiefer credit for keeping his mouth shut on some things, but insofar as like Austin, like that cat was out of the bag pretty much right away after he talked with Roe, and overall, like I feel like he's done. And this is sort of why I've been not living for his reign as HOH, because I do feel like he stepped on some toes, and we haven't even gotten to the spoiler section yet, where I feel like he stepped on more toes. But overall, like. Adequate job, but it would have been better for me if he absolutely kept his mouth shut, even though they didn't show that on the episode. If he absolutely kept his mouth shut, didn't disclose his plans, and then privately talked to the person that he needed to first. And that's not the way it went down. So that's my beef with it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that he is running his mouth way too much in this house. I think he's gotten or let the power get a little bit to his head, where he enjoys the fact that people are coming to him and kind of asking for mercy and doing stuff to really present themselves in a good light in front of him. I mean, you see it in the episodes. Everyone is kissing butt extremely hard this week, especially people that don't even need to. It's just very, very fun to watch. And I think that maybe he got a little too comfortable. I think maybe he thought, okay, well, I can roll this into something that can help me going forward. And I just think he got a little too big for his britches. I think he got a little too comfortable. And I agree. I think that really put a damper on this HOH, which I thought at the beginning of the week, I thought, okay, he's doing what he probably should, what would be the right move for his game as of right now. But watching this and watching this whole situation play out, I think he just got a little big for his britches.
Okay, well, sounds like I missed some stuff. And it sounds like this week is the opposite of the Kiefer trajectory. We flipped it. Normally, his week starts off getting nominated, and then he progressively works himself into a better position as the week goes on. This week, he started off quite well, and I guess worked himself into a shittier position as the week went on. So, good job,
shittier position. That's fair, but also other people are playing bad as well. So I don't think he may not see the block anytime soon. It just depends on who wins HOH and what their druthers are. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, I'm just fascinated by how inconsistent he is on a week-to-week basis. It's
of these people are relatively inconsistent. I think the only person who is pretty consistent from my perspective is Victoria. Like Victoria wanted what she wanted. Like she wanted to be in with Jed and Ty since week 1, and they told her she wasn't cool enough. I mean, basically, they didn't say that to her face, but that's basically what they were saying. They told her they said that she couldn't keep her mouth shut. Why would they want to align with her? She got rid of their closest ally. She threatened to put all of them up, and look where she is. Like, I know I keep going back to that, but it's just amazing to me how many people poo-pooed that last week. And I know it was nonsensical, but I'm like, look. Things change, especially in a split house. I thought that I thought it could work. I really did because like they're gonna need people. Like, are you gonna turn her? She's a potential number. Are you gonna? She's willing to work with you. She loves you guys. Are they gonna turn her away? No. So all y'all podcasters that are poo-pooing Victoria, I'm just saying, if I was on a podcast of another nature, I would be giving her 8s and 9s. I don't know what everybody else is doing, but. Just saying, I love what she's been doing. Yeah, she's giving me life. That's all.
She's a great player by all means. I've been very much so enjoying her. She was not what I thought she was going to be at the beginning of the season. That's what I appreciate most about a house guest is that I have this preconceived notion of who they are going into this house, and they completely do a 180 on me during the season. That's what I think as a fan base we love, because then we can find new things and new types of people that really intrigue us and make us want to watch a show and bring us enjoyment. And I think that's exactly what she's done. Now, I will say this, Brent. I think she's been sloppy too. Don't get me wrong. She
gloriously sloppy.
Gloriously sloppy. Like going from saying, "Hey, Beth, you were a liar," and trying to call her out in front of Ty, and like then 3 minutes later being like, "Oh, hey, it's no big deal. Like, I just wanted to get that out there after they won HOH." I'm like, you are a hot mess, girl. Like, I like you, but my Lord, like, pick out what you're gonna do and go for it. Yeah. But hey, it makes it very fun to watch.
I'm with you. I'm a big believer in that you have to be who you are, and like whatever. Like, I mean, this is how I played Sequester, where I'm just I was who I was, and I know I didn't win that game, but who knows what Victoria's gonna happen, what's gonna happen to Victoria in this game. But like, I just love people that embrace who they truly are and just balls to the wall, go after it, and they don't let any pitches go by. Like every pitch they swing at. That's what I love that in the house, and I always respond well to that.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, Victoria is first ballot returnee on a Big Brother Canada. So she's already cementing
and
that.
LaToya, can we bring them back as a duo? That'd be fantastic.
Oh man, like a Big Brother Canada Rivals season. That would be fun.
Dude,
Let's do it Rivals. There you go.
Right? Arissa was talking about LaToya on Twitter today, like, how much of a queen she was and how awesome she was. And I'm like, yeah, bring her back for All-Stars in season 10. That's what we need. If you really think she's that awesome, let's bring her back because she was amazing television. I need more of her. I need more LaToya. Gone too soon.
Does she take the Min Lee spot? Because I would have thought last year
they're not bringing Min Lee back. Min Lee is too politically incorrect.
I haven't kept up with her. I don't know anything like that. Let me just say,
Min Lee makes me look benign, okay? And I got fired from rap, okay? So
does Min Lee podcast? She can come over here.
No, she's the things that come out of her mouth. I don't think they want anywhere near the feeds of Big Brother Canada 10. So
I had no idea.
Okay, because I haven't kept with back. I haven't kept up with her at all. So once that
she's great. She's great though. Don't get me wrong. I love Min Lee, but I don't think they're going to invite her back. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know what I'm looking up later. That's fascinating.
I know, me too.
So we get to the ceremony, and these guys killed me this episode. I've not been the biggest Kyle fan. This was funny. He's taking the piss out of Rohan with the calmest, coolest guy in the house. That was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And Kiefer returns the pawn favor to Austin, having her take a seat. And we end the veto episode with Austin and Kyle sitting next to each other, the Romeo and Juliet of Big Brother Canada 9. Their relationship's only just started and it can't last. So sad.
The producers are so bitter. They're so bitter that they finally got a showman, so that this is the kind of thing that they're looking for, because they can put this on television, right? Like they don't want to. I'm telling you what, the Big Brother Canada producers do not want to put the throuple on television. No. That would, I swear, people be writing letters to them. Like they don't want to deal with that, but they can put this on television. This is the kind of thing they can put it in a nice bow. And say, look at these sweet people. Like, look, aren't they awesome? Like, and one of them's going to get evicted. So, yeah, they're
not cool with binge drinking, not cool with threesomes, none of that.
Not at all.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm glad one of them's leaving because to me they're a very boring couple, and I know saying boring about a couple is a no to the players, but I think that they're just not entertaining to me. But as individuals, I do appreciate their games, especially Kyle.
If I'm being totally honest, I don't know how Austin got on the show. Like she's really boring. Like she really is. Like, I don't say, like, she's gorgeous, but that's, like, all I can say about her. I don't, like, the way she says things in the diary room, like, just to bag on her for a second, sorry, but, like, she's really terrible. Like, and she doesn't say anything with conviction. She has no passion behind her. Like, I would take 10 Victorias and 10 LaToyas over any Austin any day of the week. Like, I just don't really respond well to her. I feel like I'll say this. She's fun when she's with Braden. Okay, They had a little roast earlier today. Like that was very fun. They did a great job with that. She's very fun when she's with Braden and they can kiki and have a good time. But everything else in the house, even as far as the game is concerned, doesn't really give me life. Even the way she narrates things in the diary room, I'm not living for that either. So I would rather she go this week. But on the other hand, Kyle's not exactly exciting either. So whatever.
Yeah, it makes sense that they gravitated towards each other. I'll just say that.
Right?
They really match. Would you rather
boring seems to attract boring. I learned that from Big Brother 20. I'll say that.
You know what? I think that's a great time to move into the live feeds. So if you are dipping out, you do not want to hear about the live feed spoilers for tomorrow's eviction. See you later. Thanks for listening. Everybody else, it is now live feed time. Brent, tell us what's been going on. What's the tea from the live feeds?
Oh, well, it's another. I mean, like again, the Sunsetters, they cannot help themselves. They're literally besides themselves, in trying to outdo their ineptness every freaking week. There was talk of potentially flipping this vote at various times. Kiefer, Jed, Ty, Beth, all wanted to at different times, mind you, flip the vote and say, let's think about getting rid of Austin. Isn't she more of a danger? Obviously, she seems like she's coming after Kiefer specifically, but Kiefer obviously doesn't have a vote this week. But on the other hand, it seems like Jed and Ty and Beth will not make a move unless Kiefer is on board with it because they are somewhat loyal to him, although they definitely have their own agenda in play. And it seems that Tina obviously wants this. Tina wants to keep Kyle. That's what Tina wants. Tara really wants to keep Kyle, which has definitely been part of the issue, as I'll get to. Obviously, Braden would not. I share Bobby's concern. If they voted out Austin, I don't know what would happen with Braden, but I don't think that Roe is really worrying about that right now. He wants to keep Kyle, but it doesn't even seem like that the impetus of this flip is coming from Roe. But Roe would love to see it happen, but he doesn't think it's viable. And he obviously thinks that if there is a talk of a flip, that it's more of a trick. He doesn't really buy that there is any legs to this potential flip, but there is or have been legs to the flip for various reasons. I'm trying to articulate all of them, but suffice it to say, it's a bunch of bad gameplay, people overthinking themselves. You have somebody who, like Austin, who's really not a threat. Somebody like Kyle with Roe could be a major threat in this game. And I actually think that Kyle is way more social than Austin. Like, I feel like Austin can't fake it with people and Kyle can. Like, he is far better at the social game than Austin ever is. And like, he would definitely put Jed and Ty on the block. Now if they save them, here's the thing, but if Jed and Ty like talk to Kiefer again and they decide to flip this vote and they decide to keep Kyle and Kyle stays because of Jed and Ty's votes, then obviously Kyle's not going to go after them anymore. He's going to go after other people. So like, if you're somebody on that side of the house, it just like, why Tina or anybody else, like Tina, Tara, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to flip the vote? Because then it solidifies the boys together. And who are they going to go after? You, because you're the only people left. Okay, they're not going to go after Braden. Maybe they go after Victoria if you're lucky. But I think that if they stay in the house because of the boys' votes, it only solidifies the boys back together, and you got a Pretty Boys 2.0. That's what I think. So I don't think there's any way this flip should happen. Kiefer was open to the idea, especially after I alluded to earlier with the skip the dishes thing. That definitely opened his eyes, and he thought maybe I don't want to be the person who gets rid of Kyle if he's working with Roe. If especially if Canada likes them together, they're sort of an unlikely duo, but. The fly in the ointment is Tara, Bobby, who I alluded to earlier, is definitely a little bit of a bitch. If you haven't listened to Tara talk to specifically Ty and Jed on the feeds, it's definitely an eye-opening experience. She talks to people. She talks down to people. She's very condescending at times. And she's very and I know that I can be condescending sometimes. And I'm very polarizing and I can push my agenda on people, but I do feel like that I have an empathy behind me that this woman does not have. She just doesn't seem to know when to shut it off, and she doesn't understand when she's being an outright bitch to people. And it does seem to me like there are, I don't want to say this wrong, there are politically incorrect undertones to how she addresses some of the people in the house. So I wish that she could, I'm going to use the A word. She's aggressive. People use that word against black women all throughout reality TV history. This white woman is aggressive to these men. She is aggressive in how she talks to them. And I just wish she could turn the aggression down a little bit and be a little bit more empathetic and go along to get along. And if you have to turn up the heaters, turn them up. But there's no reason why you have to turn them up when you're trying to have a quiet conversation and turn their idea around about what you want to happen in the house. Because if there was any potential for Kyle to stay in the house, it evaporated when Tara started talking to Ty and talking to Kiefer and talking to Jed and just totally blew things up. Because the more she pushes, the less that they want to keep Kyle, because it's what Tara wants. Does that make sense? Sorry if I ranted and rambled a while, but that's basically what happened. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like we have Tara to thank then for more interesting configuration going forward for preventing this potential Pretty Boys 2.0. So thanks.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. And the thing is, it's a terrible move for Tara, but she's going to get some of the flack for causing some of the riffraff in the house. Her failing on this move is going to benefit her in the long run, but I don't know that she'll necessarily reap the rewards from that because she's such a fucking terrible player and she's getting on people's nerves. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And I think that she's really digging her own grave, especially the more she stands up for this situation and wanting to keep Kyle. It's really making people, the way she does it, you're exactly right. She's very standoffish. She's very confrontational. And she really is trying to push an agenda when people are thinking to themselves, who are you? And you all of a sudden are playing the game?
Yes, right.
Why are you being so aggressive about this? Why are you telling us what to do? We've been the ones playing the game since day one. Here you come in thinking you know how to play the game and try to show us something that's better for you. We're not going to do this for you. You've done nothing for us. Why should we do this for you? So If I were Kyle, I tell her to stop. Like, just do what you're gonna do, but just don't. And he's not necessarily privy to the situation, but it's mind-boggling to me that she's trying to push an agenda, but has no social capital or social awareness of how to do it. And I feel like that's really, really hurting Kyle's game, whether he knows it or not. And the more we go forward, I honestly think there's a chance that Kyle can still stay. I think that this could turn around in an instant. Austin could say something again that really puts red flags in people's heads and think, okay, maybe we should go after her. She is, a comp beast per se, and might go after her. But as far as Tara and Tina and others in this house, I think Kyle's the way bigger target that needs to be addressed immediately. And I think that they're thinking too hard about a situation because they're trying to make the right move for what their image is, or they're trying to think too far ahead. I think they need to think right now and do what's best for their game.
Yeah, and I will say, like I said earlier, the Sunsetters can't help themselves. They can't help but waffle. And like, of course, like this has gotten back to Austin. Like, they're aware of the fact that there's a potential flip going on. And obviously, like, I will say this, I'm going to make a bold prediction. From this moment on till tomorrow, I do not think that they will flip. I think they're done with it. I think that's how much damage that Tara did. In fact, I don't think they were going to flip since last night. Since all the damage that Tara did after trying to talk to the boys, I don't think there's any way that they're going to flip. I think Kyle is going to be evicted on Thursday. I think it's going to be a unanimous vote, or sorry, not a unanimous vote. It's going to be 7-1. It's going to be 7-1. Yeah. And that's the end of it, because I think that she's literally that bad at this game.
I think there's a small chance. I really do. Small chance.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, it's shocking to me that another week tried to flip another vote. This is 4 weeks in a row. We've got a vote flip on the table. And for the fourth time in a row, we didn't learn the lesson. And we it's amazing this hasn't bit more people in the ass, I guess, my takeaway point.
Well, it definitely creates for more opportunities for people to take advantage of it. Yet, on the other hand, I don't want to steamroll this season. So I'm kind of here for the fact that everyone's sort of inept. Like, that's cool.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well,
Doug, I mean, first of all, the boys aren't gonna. They're going to evict Kyle. Obviously, Roe is going to evict Austin, but even he might decide, hey, there's no way that anybody's going to try to make a move unless they know they have the votes. And the boys aren't going to blindside Kiefer's buy-in if they want to do anything. And Kiefer doesn't seem to want to do this flip anymore either, even in spite of skip the dishes.
Yeah, Tina and Tara aren't going to vote that way if too big of a target on their back, especially Tina. She won't let that happen.
Tina never. She would never let that happen. And also, she was in a prime opportunity and she seems to be letting. Tina is such a better player than Tara. She has a way of nudging people toward the right answer rather than hitting them over the goddamn head with it, which is what Tara does. And she seems to abdicate her and do the talking. And I wish she wouldn't do that going forward. But there's a lot of game left, so we'll see.
Well, and here's the problem with that too, is that Tina is the better player, and she sees that Tara is in a way a goat to take to the end because of the way that she displays herself, and she is good friends with her, but she knows she can beat her, so she's letting her dig her own grave, but she's doing so to the detriment of her own game this early in the season.
And I think she's doing it to the detriment of both their games. That's the issue for Tina right now, is that she's doing it to the detriment of both their games. I do feel like Tina's position in the house has been hurt and taken down a little bit because of the damage that Tara's done this week. But again, with the way this house is set up, a new HOH changes everything. We'll see.
It's unfortunate for Tina. She was one of my favorites early on. That's kind of a wrap for the feed. Sounds like we're expecting.
Excited for a twist because I'm excited to see if it has anything to do with Canada, if it hurts people's feelings, if the house gets talking, because I'm all for that.
I first heard this, I was envisioning something like, and they all get called in one by one and no one.
Cookie thing from season 5. We see it. Like, I love stuff like that. That's
going to be, someone's going to get a little note carded in the diary room and say, hey, you're the invisible HOH, make your nominations. And then when someone comes down, they're going to do it in the diary room. But not be seen. It could be anyone who goes in the diary room that's getting all this power. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be all in the diary room, and we're going to see this week play out with everyone wondering who it is, not ever having.
Should be interesting. Are we at normal time tomorrow, or is it shifted?
It's shifted to 9:00. So it's 9:00 for they've shifted at 9 p.m. Eastern for the episodes. So the recaps will probably be 10:15, something like that.
Sounds right. Yeah. Good old Big Brother Canada. Love it. Well, awesome. This has been a blast. Thank you to everybody for listening.